Hello, Guardians. Welcome back to Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast. 199 part 2, you could say. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Derrigan. Alongside me, as always, is the one who lived, Josh Finney.
Man, let me tell you something. About 24 hours ago, I was hitting the rally banner of Gatorade and friendship. Because I was running a fever. I'm still running a fever right now.
Why? Why are you here?
Why
did you not tell me this until this moment?
I'm springing this on Corey. This is how I know Corey didn't listen to last night's episode yet. He's been a little busy.
Hey man, there's
I was running a 101 fever last night.
Jeez, man.
And I definitely was not helping myself by getting very involved in the Mavericks Timberwolves game. So much so that when the game was over, I was feeling very dizzy, even just sitting in my chair. I threw up, down to 2 Gatorades. I still have the bottles here. Down 2 Gatorades last night.
What are you doing?
While John and I broke down for 90 minutes, I rallied, and then this morning I have rallied again today. I had to go to the dentist this morning, and I have rallied here this evening. Because, Corey, we're so close to the final shape that I can taste it, and there's so much to talk about that it's giving me life. It's giving me energy right now.
I know. I almost said, why are you alive? But I should have said, why are you awake? But also, Jesus Christ, there's so much to talk about.
There's so much to talk about.
And you already talked about half of it.
I talked about 90 minutes of it. And we probably have at least another 90 minutes to 2 hours to talk about tonight. But Corey, next week is episode 200.
It sure is. Guess what, Josh? I'm about 99.9% sure it's going to be live
show next week, and I have confirmed Nerd Generalist and Joasis are joining us.
Yeah, attaboy.
So our unofficial third chair and one of our battle masters is going to be joining us. Very excited about that. As a result, I'm actually saving one of the questions that we are being asked this week. Titan Class.
Ooh.
We all know him as Titan Class. He's now known as I Like Green Crayons because of a certain incident in the Discord a while back. Asked if we had any final story predictions for the final shape. We're actually going to save that, and that as tradition, that is something we talk about the episode before an expansion. We're going to give last predictions next week. Each of us is going to bring a prediction to the table. We're also going to bring one thing we liked and one thing we did not like about this whole year to the table as well, even though Corey and I are going to do a little bit of a year in review tonight. But Corey, let's jump in. We have so much to talk about. There's so much.
I know, there's too much.
And then they decided to say, oh, by the way, the Vidoc that we split into 2 parts, it's the second part's dropping on Friday. So I'm not even worrying about it at this point. It's like, okay, it's 10 minutes in each. But let's start there. I want to start there before we get into the exotic armor tuning and the I guess really we should start with the final mission. Corey, have you had a chance to play the final mission from this week?
I didn't play it yet, but I watched it, so
okay.
I'm caught up because I knew I wasn't going to be able to play it.
It's all good.
I watched it.
Let's jump on into it. What a nostalgia trip. What a trip down memory lane.
I know, man.
Fighting those goddamn statues again with the same music. How far we have come from the end of vanilla Destiny 1.
Oh, I know.
For those of you who never played Destiny 1, which a lot of PC players have never played it, the final mission is part of it. The final battle, at least, is lifted directly from the end of vanilla Destiny 1. That's the final mission. With the Black Heart and everything. I thought it was a nice little full circle moment to be like, no, really, that campaign actually mattered.
Yeah.
Which we kind of felt the same way with the Deterministic Chaos mission following Lightfall, when we get sent into the Black Garden to check on the heart and everything. It's really just you going backwards through Garden of Salvation. I thought this was a nice little full circle moment. It didn't quite have the effect on me that it did on a lot of other D1 vets. There were a lot of people who felt like they kind of got a little emotional about it because I think that for so many of us, the final shape is kind of the the end of our Destiny journey, and it really feels like Bungie kind of knows this might be the end too.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they're introducing all these cool things, like it kind of feels like they know that, like, hey, if we're told to pull the plug, like we've gotten the franchise to a place that we're okay with doing that.
Yeah.
If we never get another big expansion, if we never get, a Destiny 3 or something, like, then hey, we've told the story we wanted to tell. It's 10 years. But what I want to talk about is that cutscene.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
The cutscene that comes after this
Spoilers, by the
has
way.
do what?
I said spoilers for people who haven't played it
Yeah,
yet.
spoilers. I mean, I'm assuming if you're here, you already know. It features two of the best shots in the entire saga in it, in my opinion. So it's Crow when he jumped through the portal. He comes falling out of the portal through the sky. It's one of the only times we've ever actually seen a hunter jump, I think, in cutscenes. So that was
Yeah.
really cool to see.
Yeah, I was like, oh, they're really
Really
doing the
nimble.
thing.
Yeah, they're doing the fucking thing. And he starts getting into a gunfight with somebody, and of course we already know that it's Cayde. You can tell instantly.
Yeah.
It's Cayde, this and that, and he's shooting. One of the things I want to notice, he's shooting Crow is shooting Hawkmoon.
Yep.
Like it's the last word. Had this talk with John and with Joasis the other day, kind of wondering aloud if when Hawkmoon becomes craftable, which we do think is happening in the final shape.
Yeah.
They've already said it's going to be craftable in the future, but I think that it's with it being Crow's gun now, I think it's going to be craftable. That maybe that is one of the new perks you could put on it, a 6-shooter.
Yeah. That'd be interesting.
I thought it was very cool to have an inverse of the Forsaken art, where Uldren has the gun pointed at Cayde. Cayde has Ace in his hand.
Mm-hmm. It was very cool.
It was very cool, and that's one of the two scenes I'm talking about. And then the next is Cayde sheaths Ace, or his version of Ace, and reaches his hand out to Crow.
Mm-hmm.
And this goes back to an image.
Well, that's after their exchange, though, right? Because
Yes.
Cayde clearly recognizes
Cayde is ready to pull the trigger
Yeah.
because he remembers him from a previous life, and then Glint comes out, and Glint coming out, because Crow is in disbelief. He goes, "But
you died.
And then when he sees the ghost, Cayde goes, "Well, looks like so you have too."
Yeah.
And it is such a powerful moment. It's a very powerful moment.
Before you move on to them too, both of them, like you can actually see Glint kind of like shaking because Glint is scared that they're both going to die, right?
Yep.
And it's like, I mean, yeah, Glint's been on such a journey. I mean, you talk about a ghost's journey. I mean, Glint, all the way back to when we were calling Glint, what were we calling him?
Pulled pork.
Pulled pork. Yeah. Like, man. And the fact that you could like visibly see him shaking a little bit, and Uldren or Crow was scared a little bit. Like you could definitely see the fear in both of them. And like, yeah. Whoa. Great scene. Great scene.
Outstanding scene. I was very happy with it. Sorry, I got something stuck in my teeth. Cayde sheaths his gun though, and sticks his hand out to pick Crow up. This is an image that has been repeated time and time and time again in Destiny.
Yeah.
And we most commonly associate it with two previous scenes, which is the execution of Cayde, the saving of Zavala, and now this. Yeah. And it's another one of those shots that when you see it, it's really kind of setting in that this is the end.
Especially when they stand side by side, right, with the portals above them, and they're standing side by side, and they're looking out into where clearly we're gonna go, right, in the final shape. Like, yeah, great scene, great. God, man, Bungie sure knows how to make some cool scenes.
Bungie does know how to make some cool scenes, indeed. I thought this was a very cool, very short cut scene that sets the stage kind of perfectly. Man, it's so cool. It's so special. Last mission isn't quite what I expected it to be. I thought it was going to be a variant of Onslaught or something, like defend the last city. And I had been speculating with people. I'd really hoped that we maybe would see the Dread show up in that mission, or that they would be thrown into the final week of the Pantheon. Nothing of that sort, unfortunately. I understand it though. Probably a little too hard to get in there for one mission.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I thought this was very cool though. It's not my favorite of the final missions that we've ever gotten, nor is it my favorite cutscene that we've gotten to end a season. I think last year's end to Seraph, I don't think the mission was better. I think this was a better mission than that. But I think that cutscene is maybe the second or third most powerful cutscene in the whole series,
Mm-hmm.
where Anna shuts Rasputin off in order to save everybody,
Yeah.
and the Traveler ascends from the city to save humanity once more. Um, we talk about powerful imagery in the series though, and the idea of, picking up, your guardian brethren is something that's really been ingrained in, I mean, ever since the very beginning of the series, right? Um, Obviously the connection with your ghost, you know, the idea of a fire team, like all of that, these are all like powerful images that keep getting recycled in these. And like, at the center of it all is a traveler. And it makes sense that we're going into the Pale Heart. And this is kind of your look like, okay, well, off in the distance, that's where we're going. And we're just gonna go straight from this into the Vidoc, man. I think it's a really good segue for the things that were shown in the Vidoc. Not a ton that I want to note from this. It's only 9 minutes long. Really encourage you guys just to go watch it. You hear from the new director of the game, Tyson. Tyson talks
Yeah.
at the beginning.
Which I think is good because, you want to. I think people ingrained in this community want to know what's going to happen. Like who's steering the ship now, right? I mean, and a lot of people who maybe aren't as ingrained in Bungie staff lore, I guess, I guess you would call it, like may not know who he is, right? Like obviously he was involved in Halo for a long time and uh, been around Bungie for decades at this point, but like some people might not know who he is, and people have gotten to know Joe for over the last 4 or 5 years or so, and I don't know. I thought it was a nice thing to open.
It was nice. It was appropriate to hear from him here, I think, too. Um, sorry. I would say it was also important for him to come out and talk about the idea of, becoming legend and Guardians making their own fate. And as he's saying all this, it is against a backdrop of some of the most pivotal moments of the series.
Mm-hmm.
We see events from Destiny 1. We see Gaul kicking us off of the Cabal ship from the beginning of D2. We see the retaking of the city. We see events from Witch Queen and Lightfall and all this and that. And then we get into some of the Easter eggs. I don't really want to talk too much about what was like outright said. There's one or two quotes I want to call from that. But one of the first things you notice is they show a giant whiteboard that the narrative team is working with, confirming 7 missions and then an 8th redacted mission that will drop after the world's first raid is completed. Thought that was very cool. This is definitely the most streamlined campaign we've ever gotten. Only 7 missions is pretty impressive. Even when they streamlined Lightfall and Witch Queen, they were still like 9-10 missions long, I think. So that's pretty rad. Very excited for that. Story arcs that they had listed out, aka the main characters, in the order that they were written from left to right: Crow, Ghost, Cayde-6, Ikora, Zavala, and the Witness. I thought it was very cool that Crow is going to be that important to the narrative of a expansion, because Crow really hasn't been. Crow has never taken center stage in an expansion before. This just reaffirms my belief that Crow is going to be the next speaker, frankly.
Yeah.
Now that he's the first one within the Traveler and this and that. We see a few shots of the characters throughout this too. That the campfire scene between Ikora and Cayde that we got from the first teaser trailer of the final shape almost a year ago today, actually.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I think it was exactly a year ago
I
today.
can't believe it was a year ago.
They're sitting around a campfire talking, and it seemingly confirms that we're all going to meet up at that campfire at some point because Crow and Glint are very clearly at a campfire also.
Mm-hmm.
We hear, however, for the very first time, we hear Keith David as Zavala. And I had some really mixed emotions hearing this.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I want to say absolutely no disrespect to Keith David. Keith David gives an incredible performance.
Mm-hmm.
It is definitely a different Zavala.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It felt very different. I mean, not
this
like,
Zavala feels more war torn.
yeah.
This is a Zavala that sounds like he has really been put through the fucking ringer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's okay. But that's Keith David's voice, though. Those are the characters that he voices.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'm okay with this.
Yeah.
This could be a lot worse. Anybody other than Keith, and I probably would have been really upset. The
There's,
best.
I mean,
Go ahead. Go
they
ahead.
were they were put in a really awkward situation, right? I mean, like
Yeah.
losing Lance Reddick is going to put everybody
Oh,
in a
what's going to
in a bad,
destroy me is when
you
you
know,
hit the credits and it says for Lance,
yeah,
because you know
and
it's coming.
yeah, and it's like, you know, I don't know if they could have picked anybody better, to be honest. I mean, we talked about that
Yeah.
at length, but like even just hearing him now and seeing Zavala, it just, I don't know, it, like you said, it hits harder,
Yeah.
but also I don't know if they could have done any better.
They couldn't have. They did exactly what they needed to do. They did as much as they could have. And kudos to them for not just deciding to take the easy way out and writing Zavala out of the finale.
Mm-hmm.
The best quote, I think, we start getting into talking about the witness and the dread. Um, the witness sees itself as the one true God, and it has come to the traveler because it needs its light to finish its mission, salvation. Um, the story team talks about it and they say you're going to get to speak to the witness in the final shape, and he's going to shed light on some things, on maybe have you question some truths, refers to you as a god killer. And one of the shots while you're hearing the witness speak to you is of the Iron Banner shield and the giant axe in front of it, because we know that we're seeing twisted versions of things that we are familiar with through the Traveler's Light and the Witness's darkness. It's causing certain things. One of the concept art pieces that they showed was a giant ghost, for example,
Mm-hmm.
that was shattered. And I like that they said there are multiple different voices for the Witness. Like there's that dominant voice, but there's also other like whispers you're hearing that are like kind of like trying to tell you the truth essentially behind the Witness.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that. Like that it's almost like the dominant personality is taken over, but like the rest of the species is like desperately trying to get out of there. Like they no longer believe in the mission or something, or as we've had indicated in some of the lore that we read from the Antelesi book that comes in the collector's edition, like this might have been like a Jim Jones style thing. They drank the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
I like what they said about the dread also. This is something I picked up on the dread, that they are created from the witness twisting the light, and they speak a brand new language that is legitimately translatable to English.
Oh.
I thought that was such a cool thing, and it maybe the most exciting part of all this is Bife's inevitable video deciphering the language.
Oh God. Yeah.
I thought this was very cool. And the last thing I want to note, we see Crow use Golden Gun. It's so cool. Crow uses gold. He just summons it and bam, bam, bam. Oh my god, it was so cool. I love seeing the NPCs use supers.
He's not wearing Celestial Nighthawk though.
He's not doing optimal DPS. I'm
Mm.
ashamed, just like
Come on, Crow.
we all criticized Cayde for not having Shards of Galanor on
Mm.
when he died, and we gotta rag on Crow for this, but it is clear like the cinematics team was allowed to cook from the bits and pieces we've seen. The design team was allowed to cook.
They're going all out, man. This is this is it.
This is it.
I mean, they are even. I mean, even though Destiny will probably continue after this, this is the end, right? Like, I mean, this is. I mean, man, 10+ years I mean, Halo ODST beginning, right?
Yep.
Now, like, oh my gosh, man. When did ODST come out?
2008.
2008? I mean, come on. That's 16 years of our lives we've been at least being teased by Destiny.
Yeah.
10
That
playing.
is exactly half of my life.
Man.
ODST came out shortly after I turned 16. I turned 32 the day that the final shape drops.
Yeah.
It's cosmic, it's fate at this point. You know, and I'll save the waxing poetic for next week about, you know, Destiny and what it means to me. But yeah, it's hard to watch part 1 of this Vidoc and not feel like the end is here.
Yeah.
That like even if this is just the end of this story arc, like it does feel like a goodbye. I think they know that this is goodbye for a lot of longtime players. I mean, 10 years for a lot of us, that's like a third or a quarter of our lives, depending on how
Yeah.
old you were when you started playing. Some it's even younger. Like I mean, I some of the people in our Discord who are, you know, in their mid 20s now started playing when they were in high school. You know, let that sink in for a minute.
Mm-mm.
So, you know, they started playing, they were like 14 or 15. And now I'm like, oh God, you know,
Yeah.
like, damn, I feel like the old guy in the room for once. So, yeah, it's going to be really cool. I can't wait. God, dude, they keep building the hype. The hype is there. It has to deliver. We cannot have another Lightfall situation on our hands. I'm actually a little afraid that we're going to end up with another Lightfall situation because this is just like too good to be true right now. But we'll see. 12 days, man. 12 days until it's in our hands.
Yeah. I am taking that week off from all of my other shows and responsibilities except for work. But you know.
Yeah, we oh my god, dude, we've got such a busy week. That is going to be an extremely busy week because not only do we have the final shape dropping, not only do we have a brand new raid dropping 3 days later and a new season starting a week after the final shape drops, our first episode, Echoes. We have the Xbox showcase that Sunday
Oh yeah, I
on
forgot about
the
that.
9th, and then Summer Game Fest is happening on the 7th, which is the same day the raid drops.
Yeah.
It's going to be a really, really busy week for us.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have it any other way. This is my favorite time of year for a reason. I love video games. I love everything about what we get to do. Wouldn't have it any other way. I guess God, what order do I want? Let's do the Schwab.
The
Let's do the Schwab real
12.
fast. Because there's one big thing in here that I was not expecting them to put in here, but they either had to do it this week or next week. So I'd kind of rather get it out of the way this week. Hopefully next week is like kind of a more low-key job. We may have to do a part 1 and 2 again next week if they drop another big article on us. Follow the world's first race on Twitch Rivals. The new raid coming with Final Shape will take the fight to the witness and prevent its calamitous plans to end the world as we know it. The stakes are at their highest, and fire teams across the globe will compete and test their might to be the first group that completes the raid to take home the coveted world's first belt. We wanted to celebrate such an occasion properly, so in partnership with Twitch, we have a world's first race broadcast covering some of the streamers participating in the race with commentary conducted by returning host Professor Broman and Rec 1568. So you can get the Stand in Salvation emblem by watching 2 hours of any Destiny 2 streamer between 9:30 a.m. Pacific on June 7th and 9:30 a.m. Pacific on June 9th. And then the Roots Remain emblem. Watch at least 2 hours of Destiny 2 Twitch Rivals streamers or Twitch Rivals creator. Again, during those same hours. These are some pretty cool emblems, I think. Especially that Witness one is kind of dope.
Yeah.
And then you can get a global Twitch badge, which is a ghost chat badge by watching 15 minutes of the Final Shape raid. Here's something that I really wish they would have put in with the double guns and double tokens that started dropping this week. Double shiny rate going into effect on May 28th for the last week of this. I like it. It should have been done this week or last week, honestly. You should have given us like 2 or 3 weeks of the double rate, but whatever. I'll take what I can get. It when I saw this, I was like, well, I guess I'm not playing Onslaught today like I planned to. I was going to grind out a few Luna's Howl rolls. trying to get a heel clip incandescent roll going on it. And still trying to get my shiny mountaintop, but I guess I'm just gonna wait until Tuesday now. Yeah, why play now? I might as well wait. But yeah, and also the brave weapons can drop from any activity now. Seemingly, there's like a random chance for them to drop from anything.
Oh, cool.
I got one of them dropped for me during Pantheon on Tuesday.
Ooh.
Yeah, I got a mountaintop out of nowhere. It was
Nice.
very weird. I've seen other people getting them in like Nightfalls and Lost Sectors and things like that. So I think there's a very small chance of them dropping elsewhere, but I guess because of the double token rate, maybe the chance for them to drop randomly is like messed up, and they're just like, fuck it, we're gonna leave it. It's only 10 more days. There is a bit in here about armor and ability tuning. We're gonna do the armor reading. We're gonna do the armor tuning after the TWAB, but the abilities tuning, A1 Johnny and I did a part 1 of this episode very late last night that I got posted up this morning. Is a 90-minute breakdown of every change coming to abilities, including all of the stasis changes. There's a lot of them. The tweaks that are being made to like Void and Strand, and of course the somewhat controversial change coming to Well of Radiance and Ward of Dawn. So check that out. We had a really great discussion on it. But let's get to the meat and potatoes of this week's.
The meat.
Oh boy, this is a lot. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Pathfinder. Pathfinder was announced with the final shape. I keep forgetting Pathfinder is a thing. I actually kind of thought that they abandoned this. I'm not going to lie, because it had been so long since we heard about it. But I really like this. If you don't know what Pathfinder is a brand new pursuit system that consolidates bounties, patrols, and weekly vendor challenges into one streamlined system you can access anytime, anywhere via the director. Great start so far. Different Pathfinders can be accessed from relevant screens of the director by selecting the Pathfinder node or using a hotkey for quick and easy access to the system. When you open Pathfinder, you will be presented with 20 objectives divided into 5 tiers, leading to every Guardian's favorite thing, big shiny loot. To reach the loot, you must complete objectives and claim them to form a path from the leftmost tier to the right. While you can progress through all objectives on a Pathfinder without restriction, you will need to claim at least one objective in each tier before you can claim an objective in the following tier. Every time you claim an objective, you will receive rewards, progressing path towards the final reward and opening new potential paths. Building a path to the final reward allows you to claim it, and claim the final reward opens a new opportunity, resetting your Pathfinder. Resetting your Pathfinder costs a glimmer, but it will give you a new set of objectives to complete and a new final reward to pursue. These new cards are built using a mixture of authorial control and procedural generation. So once you start resetting, your cards will diverge from those of other Guardians. As long as you still have the glimmer to do so, you can continue to reset Pathfinder cards after claiming final rewards as many times as you'd like each week. The value of the final reward will diminish with the resets of your card to a point. With every weekly reset, the value of final rewards will also reset. Your objective progress will be lost, and every Guardian will start the week with the same fresh card. I low-key love this. I think this is great. This is a gift to the grinders as far as I'm concerned. No more running to the tower for bounties or trying to keep track of vendor challenges at Zavala and Drifter. I love it. I'm here for it.
Here for it.
Here for it. The final shape will launch with two Pathfinders, one available to all Guardians that replaces the bounty systems and weekly challenges, and one you unlock in the Pale Heart as part of the campaign. The Rituals Pathfinder provides you with a set of objectives that span all ritual activities, including Strikes, Nightfalls, Onslaught, Gambit, and Crucible. Some of these objectives can be completed in any of these activities, while others will require you to dive into a specific ritual or mode. An update later in the year of the final shape will make it even easier to get to these ritual screens while you are in their activities, as well as make it easier to access the Rituals Pathfinder. We don't want to reveal too much about the new destination. You can expect the kinds of objectives on the Pale Heart to roughly align with what you'd expect to see from destination bounties, with the addition of some new location-based objectives called field assignments. When field assignments are featured on Pathfinder, you can expect to see them marked directly on the destination map, where you can track them to take advantage of our waypoint system to help navigate to the location. Why is Pathfinder? The goal is consolidation. Destiny 2 is an enormous game that has evolved consistently over a decade. Many pursuit systems have been added to the game over time, and these systems are accessed in a myriad of different ways to make it difficult for Guardians, experienced or not, to understand what they can be doing at any given point in time. Our second goal was to give players more agency. Bounty systems in Destiny 2 typically let Guardians pick from a handful of fixed bounties that reset each day and provide repeatable bounties for those who wish to further engage with the system. These limited choices result in a system that feels prescriptive about how you should play instead of putting you in control. We want you to feel ownership over engagement, and these systems with the ability to chart a course that matches the goals of your play session. So, for example, we have an image here of the Rituals Pathfinder, and one of the goals is called Face to Face. Summon Primevals in Gambit by filling up your team's bank. 3 Primevals. You guys summon 3 Primevals here. I don't think if that's the kind of and that's pretty deep into this Pathfinder weekly thing. I don't think that's too bad. You can see there are symbols that indicate certain things. You've got the Dredgen symbol. You've got a symbol that clearly means you can do it anywhere. You've got the swords for Crucible, and then you've got the strikes playlist icon. So I like this. I think this is a great little change. I'm a fan. But I like that they're trying to incentivize you. Path-based system will incentivize Guardians to complete objectives that may otherwise be out of their comfort zone to achieve a more direct path to their final reward. It also allows Guardians to forge a more elongated path around objectives that don't call out to them. As their options diminish closer to the final reward, Guardians will be challenged to engage with a particular activity, mode, or playstyle to acquire more rewards. And the final goal was to reduce barriers because, let's face it, most of our time as Guardians is spent zipping between destinations to prepare to play the game. Fly to the tower, fly to the helm, fly to Europa. It all takes time we could spend fending off the witness and thwarting universe-threatening plan to enact the final shape. With Pathfinder, you have your objectives and they're always progressing as you play, whether they are locked or unlocked. There's no need to visit a vendor or use the Destiny app to grab bounties. No need to balance your inventories of quests and bounties, and no need to travel to vendors. So let's talk about some of the rewards, because that's really what we all care about, right, Corey?
Right.
So the Destination Pathfinder. That I want to start here. This is for the Pale Heart. Okay.
Okay.
So path completion reward the first time through. Oh, excuse me, objective rewards. Objective rewards. Each one you complete is going to give you 25 vendor rep and 4,000 XP. Okay. Completing their first path through. Your first time through Pathfinder in the Pale Heart. Redacted exotic. Powerful tier 3 Ingram. So Pale Heart gear. 1 full rank of vendor reputation. 25,000 XP. Your second path. Another redacted exotic. A focusable Pale Heart Engram. 375 vendor reputation. 25,000 XP. Path completion rewards 1 through 3 for the third path. It's going to be the same thing, except no exotic that time. And then anytime that you get past 3 of these, that's when the repeatable is going to kick in. And that's going to be World Legendary Ingrams, 150 vendor rep, 4,000 XP each time. So really, you want to try and get 3 Pathfinders in pretty much that first week, is what I'm understanding, to get those exotics. It remains to be seen if that's how we're going to get the exotic armor for the first time from the expansion, if the golden gun rifle might be a part of this. We're not quite sure yet what they mean by redacted exotic, and I'm okay with that. Some of the objectives are going to be split into 3 categories: calibrations, field assignments, and ventures. Calibrations are meant to replace bounties, and they're the most common objective category in the Pale Hearts Pathfinder. So examples could be defeat combatants of a certain faction, or defeat combatants using weapons that match your subclass damage type in the Pale Heart. Cool. Like that. Field assignments. Go to locations in the Pale Heart and complete a custom encounter that only appears while the objective is active. This is the second most common objective in the Pale Heart's Pathfinder. In the Pale Heart, travel to Redacted and claim a reward for defeating Redacted. Or travel to Redacted and complete Redacted event. And then the last one, ventures. Destination-focused activities and objectives. Only 2 per Pale Heart Pathfinder, and only appear in the tier before the final reward. In the Pale Heart, progress through the Redacted activity and loot the chest. Completing Redacted objective grants additional progress. I imagine this is the activity that will be unlocked after we do World's First. because they have said that that is when we will unlock the activity that gives us the exotic class items. So I would imagine this is incentivizing you to go grind that out. And they've already said for each completion of that, you are getting a drop of the exotics. So, how are we feeling? How are we feeling here? I think this sounds like a pretty fair,
I think
good system when you compare it with this, like an evolution of the shit that we were doing on Europa and on Neomuna to a degree.
yeah, it kind of feels more like you can. I don't know. It seems more visually appealing to me than just trying to like. I don't know. Not guess. Guess is the wrong word, but I like how I can visualize the path. I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I guess that's why they call it Pathfinder.
I like it too. I just hope that it's easy to get to, or that I can like pull it up on another screen.
That'd be cool if you could pull it up through the app.
I would really like to be able to pull it up through the app and like maybe display it on my iPad, or even like introduce some web functionality and let me pull it up through like the website and have it up on my laptop while I'm playing.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I'd really like that. All right, let's talk Rituals Pathfinder.
Rituals Pathfinder.
Crucible Gambit and Vanguard vendor bounties will be replaced by a unified Rituals Pathfinder. A single instance of Pathfinder will contain objectives specific to each ritual activity, as well as generic objectives that can be completed in any of the 3 ritual activities. Additionally, on weeks when there is an active reputation booster, the first 3 instances of Pathfinder will contain more objectives associated with that ritual activity. So if Crucible Rep Booster is active, Pathfinder will contain Crucible-specific objectives until after the 3rd reset. Completing an objective node awards experience like individual bounty completion. Completing a path is designed to be akin to completing a weekly vendor bounty challenge. Completion rewards will include Prime Ingram's Bright Dust and experience. However, where vendor challenges are limited to 3 per week per character, Pathfinder progress is shared across all characters and is infinitely repeatable. Due to these differences, the reward amounts have been redistributed accordingly. I love this already. I already love this. I am going to be grinding this out, and I think a lot of folks will be grinding this out when they see the rewards here. First 3 completions will get you a Prime Ingram, Enhancement Prisms, 150 Bright Dust, 25,000 XP. The next 7 completions, keep in mind, this is all for 1 week. The next 7 completions, Enhancement Prism, 150 Bright Dust, 4,000 XP. Any completions beyond that will get you Enhancement Cores, 30 Bright Dust, 4,000 XP. I like this because I think right now doing the vendor challenges and then doing repeatables, you're going to be killing yourself trying to do the repeatables. The vendor challenges only give you what, like 150, I think, a week.
Yeah, I think that sounds right.
You have to do them across all 3 characters. So like maybe if you were grinding out all 3 characters, you're going to lose something here. Like maybe you're losing something here. For those players, like things probably aren't changing very much. You're going to lose like a little, like the 10 Bright Dust bounty, repeatable bounties you were doing. Mm-hmm. I'm sure somebody has a problem with this, but I think for the overwhelming vast majority of the player base, this is a pretty positive change, especially for folks who only play 1 character.
Yeah.
I think this is a big incentive. If you only play 1 character, this is a huge change for you.
Yeah.
It's the people who play all 3 and we're trying to do the challenges on all 3 that they're probably gonna be like, man, what the fuck?
I feel like that's the balance or the sacrifice they have to make, right? I mean, like how many they probably see the data, right? Of okay, 90% of our player base only play 1 or 2 characters, right? And the 10% hardcore are just gonna have to like bite the bullet on this or whatever.
Yeah, they're gonna have to just get over it. Yeah. So I'm excited. This is a change that I really want to see. I like that it's going to be visual. It's going to be really hard to go back to some of these old destinations. I mean, not like we're really grinding bounties out there anyways.
Yeah.
I have in doing bounty prep for Final Shape across some of the destinations. It's like, oh my god, this is so bad.
Yeah.
The systems are just so bad on some of these. But it is what it is. They've clearly learned a lot about game design, but I mean, the fact that we're leaving archaic elements behind finally feels so good. And with that, we're also getting an update to the quest tab. Starting on June 4th, players will be able to set any quest category on the left column as the default when you enter the quest tab. At the same time, all milestones will now show up on the quest tab, although they will not count against the total amount of quests and bounties a player can hold in their inventory, which is 63 in total. For players who want to keep everything more organized, we've also updated the quest tab to start tracking quests, and individual categories will now bring them to the front of the sort order in the quest tab. And last but not least, if you hover over a quest, it will let you know when you can launch it directly from from the details screen. So it's more straightforward to get from clicking it to playing it. These changes to the quest tab are not the only quality of life changes we made to our menus. We've also integrated reputation boosts into the ritual activities nodes at the top of the director screen. So when those are active throughout an episode, players will get that information at a glance. And the private match screen has also been revamped for Crucible. This just makes me really excited that maybe when I open it up, I can just by default see my bounties, because that's usually what I want to see anyways. But we're not going to have as much of a need for bounties. So unless you're doing gunsmith or like Ada bounties, clan bounties, maybe trials, like those are about the only ones. But like, I wouldn't be shocked to see. I want to see if they do an Iron Banner Pathfinder eventually.
That I want, yeah. I mean,
You
I
have to think
wonder.
that that's coming in one, like
I
episode
would
2, maybe.
I would say they're gonna see how this works and then adjust accordingly. And once they tweak it, they'll tweak it to do Iron Banner or maybe even a Trials one. That would be hardcore. But yeah, no, I agree. I think there's going to be one eventually.
Yeah, which I would really like. I'd like to see that updated for things like Iron Banner and Trials. You have to think that's where they're eventually going to shift everything to, anyways.
Yeah.
Remind me to use all your legendary shards because they're getting ready to go away forever. Man, there's just so many of them. I have like 50,000 legendary shards, and I don't know what to do with them.
So I actually, I was listening to The Last Word the other day.
Yeah.
And Ty Guy Travis was actually using his legendary shards to buy the bow that's in the gunsmith shop.
Yeah.
Because it's guaranteed one, the one core with a chance at 2. And he was just grinding that the entire time they were recording. So you could do that, I guess.
I would argue that the best use of this is buying a shit ton of raid banners, but also I've seen people buying them for the fragments on the phantasmal fragments on the moon, because then when you dismantle those, it's just straight glimmer.
Yeah.
Or it's when you trade them in or something, you can get straight glimmer. That would be, I don't know, that would be something I would be kind of leaning towards.
Yeah. I don't know. It was just an option. That's what people were doing. If you need to,
I mean, there's plenty of options. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
All right. Final Pantheon bosses are here, Corey. Have you heard about some of the changes that have gone on?
I have heard things, and I never know if they're true or not.
So last week we talked about
double
Rolk.
Double the flavor, double the
I
Rolk.
cleared week 3, Corey. I am 2/3 of the way through week 4 right now.
Oh boy.
I am held up at Rolk himself right now. That kick hurts a lot more this week. The only way you're getting the time trial achievement is to get him to yeet himself off the edge. So that requires some absolute finesse. We've got a little bit of trivia on these bosses, on Riven and on Nez. Nezarec. So Nezarec, they've made it to where you can't do DPS on the plates this time. If you stand on there, you instantly get hit with like 10 stacks of Pervading Darkness, and it almost like insta kills you.
Ooh.
So what people are doing is there's a little cave. They are hiding in the cave, welling, and just blasting the shit out of him from the cave.
Ooh.
Yeah. Apparently still a 2-phase if you can get down there and do your damage correctly. So good luck, everybody. And then Riven, of course, you have to do legit Riven. You cannot cheese Riven at all for anything. You won't do enough damage. So that's pretty funny to witness also. I think that is where many teams are going to fall, is legit Riven. So we all the stuff here about Riven, we know. There's an interesting note here, just like with some of these other bosses. It is speculated by cryptography scholars of the Reef that the Wall of Wishes Marasov, constructed to protect the Dreaming City from Riven's harmful schemes, still retains unknown sequences. If so, the Queen has locked these behind her own personal ciphers. Interesting. That could be a fun future plot line, because I don't think we're gonna abandon the Dreaming City forever.
Yeah.
Really like that. And then there's an interesting bit here down on Nezarec. So I want to read most of Nezarac's because I think it confirms a lot of things that players have suspected, or maybe haven't read the lore or watched a Bifrost video on quite yet.
Mm-hmm.
Created from Rolk's blueprint, Nezarec was the first tormentor from which all others owe their lineage. Nezarec relishes in sowing fear and pain, feeding off the terror of sentient beings. He can induce nightmares across entire worlds. Nezarec, in possession of the Veil, led the Black Fleet as it assaulted Earth during the collapse, but was betrayed and killed by Savathun. She separated, cursed, and entombed his lunar pyramid within the moon and stole away the Veil. Guardians uncovered the lunar pyramid when the Vanguard mobilized to assault the Scarlet Keep, and uncovered the Veil when they made contact with Neomuna on Neptune. For centuries, Nezarec remained buried. Then his disembodied head, held aboard the Witness's pyramid, was struck by a terraforming beam fired by the Traveler. It revitalized him as it reshaped the pyramid, where an undaunted fire team cut him down once more. Much that is known about Nezarec is derived from anecdotal experiences, engaged fire team raids, and a tome required from the Golden Age that was titled Of Hatred Nezarec.
Hmm.
Of note, though, an old Scion exotic relic known colloquially as Nezarec's Sin has long found its home among Warlock operatives. This helmet has known many owners throughout the years, all of whom have perished under mysterious circumstances, been rendered comatose, or have since relinquished their possession of the helm to another owner. The helm is currently believed to be in possession of the Guardian, name redacted, a hero of few words. Here's the big one.
I have a question based on
Go ahead.
that, real
Go ahead.
quick. The Guardian name, what did you say? Name redacted or name?
Yes. Yes.
Do you think we are going to be some sort of character from the lore?
No, we're just the Guardian. Every time that we are referred to in the lore, it is the Guardian.
Yeah,
They will never canonically give us a name, because the idea is, the reason why we're called the Guardian is to put ourselves in their footsteps.
I know. I don't want sort of like, I don't want some sort of like Darth Revan sort of thing.
That they're not going to give you a name. Don't worry. No names are coming. Mithrax, Kel of the House of Light, is currently afflicted with Nezarec's curse despite Nezarec being destroyed. This occurred when the Kel led an effort to recover Nezarec's scattered remains. He wants to distill Nezarec's essence into a mentally reviving elixir while siphoning the corruptive elements into himself. Attempts to dispel or cure this curse are ongoing. Cha 319 was assigned to monitor it and report back any changes. That is a choice. Now that's Chalco Young, who is a member of the Hidden. So they work with Ikora. And they're also brought up in the Hidden Intelligence quests from way back when Drifter started coming around. So very interested. Chalco pops up from time to time in the lore, and I think it's kind of cool. I'm a big fan. Chalco has been investigating Mars the last couple of years since it's returned, and the Nephil stronghold. So I find this very interesting. Which of course Nephil stronghold is Neomuna. So there's some interesting stuff going on there. And the final piece we have here: Legends of the Dark Age speak of light bearers and non-bearers alike suffering night terrors when the moon is at pedigree. The legends detail rituals with the nearly extinct earth plant lavender, long thought to hold protective, calming, and cleansing properties. Furthermore, there are later legends detailing victims of these night terrors smelling lavender after waking, as if the nightmare mocked their attempts at protection. This led to a subsequent switch to a myriad of other panaceas. interesting. So like just the presence of Nezarec being on the moon and his spirit was enough to still inflict terror across the planet. That is absolutely batshit.
Yeah, that's Hmm.
It's not great. That the Mithrax one though, we've been trying to point out potential story threads that they might be hinting at or picking up on for the future, and I think that's one we should be focusing on. We know there's going to be a Scorn themed episode coming up. Yes, Mithrax isn't a Scorn, but the Scorn are formerly Elixni, so kind of wondering if maybe it gets dealt with there.
You think there's some
Or
sort of like
in a Hive season?
It'd be really interesting, but I think there's too many other threads they need to tie up first. But if there was like a civil war between the Elixni and the Scorn or something, some sort
Yeah,
of like,
I just don't think there's enough Elixni for that to happen now. It's been noted them and the Cabal are nearly extinct.
yeah.
Basically, what's left of them is at the last city at this point.
Yeah. I think that would be like kind of like an interesting thing if they ever explored that at some point. If they like maybe like
well, I mean, so Mithrax and Crow, or at least Crow himself, is going to have a showdown with Fikrul at some point. So I'm very curious to see how that would play out. Also, I have to assume that Mithrax is going to be one of the big NPCs of a Scorn season. I'm still of the belief that Mithrax becomes a Guardian, but
yeah, I mean, we've talked about that a lot of.
We're not going to retread old territory here, but yeah. Last thing that we've got here, and then there's going to be a little note that we'll note here, and then we'll note it at the end of the show. But this is a really cool Pantheon drawing of all of the bosses that you fight in the final Pantheon.
It's so cool.
It's very cool. It's very dope. You can see everybody there, and yeah, that is actually going to be a poster available starting on May 24th. By the time you're listening to this episode, it will be on the Displate store, including a format with their new 3D enhanced texture finish. I think that's really cool that this is a fan piece of armor. So I thought this was very, very cool. Before we get to the final piece of news in the Schwab, SteelSeries is continuing their partnership with Destiny. I don't know why I thought that it would be canceled. They've done it every year for several years now. New headset, control covers, a ghost keyboard key, and a new mouse pad. That mouse pad is fucking rad.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I really love it. If I didn't have the OG mouse pad that they did, I would probably grab that. It's $50 on the Bungie store.
Yeah, that's cheap. I mean,
I'm still pretty tempted to get it.
That's cheaper than the Lightfall one. Wasn't the Lightfall one like 70 or 75?
Yes, but I believe the Lightfall one, if it's anything like the Beyond Light one that I have, it lights up.
Yeah,
so. I like this one because it looks like it's actually wider than mine is long. It's not necessarily wide.
Yeah.
In fact, our friend Joasis ordered one of these, or is going to order one of these to use as a playmat for not just as a mouse pad, but as a playmat for like Magic and stuff. So I thought that was kind of cool. It's a cool headset. That ghost key is cool, but not at $90, man.
Yeah, that's
$90, and it is limited to like 4,000 worldwide.
Yeah, it's
that's kind of wild.
Yeah.
The final note that we have here in the Schwab, and again, I'm going to read this at the very end of the episode again, just to remind you guys, there is a 24-hour downtime for the final shape. It is not, I repeat, it is not an 18-hour downtime like we've gotten accustomed to in the past, where servers shut off at like 7 or 8 p.m. or something after a final cutscene. No, these are servers will be brought offline for 24 hours, starting at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on June 3rd. For those of you listening in the U.S., that means 11 a.m. Central, 12 p.m. Eastern, and that is 8 a.m. Alaska time. I have to throw Alaska in there because I do know we have some people who listen in Alaska and in like Canadian time zones. If you're in any other region, there's a whole chart here that you can reference. But yeah, players will be reminded of the downtime in-game and via social media before it begins, and all players will be available to download The final shape during this time, no matter what platform, be advised it will be a large platform to download and install. When the game is brought back online and the final shape is launched, we expect there will be sign-in queues during the first hours and during peak play times at different places in the world. I would strongly recommend that you give yourself as much time as possible. If somebody is at home while you were at work, ask them to start that download for you in the afternoon, the night before, or the day before. This is going to take a long time. If you are on PlayStation, that means you have to download the entire game again with the update, and then it will delete your old one. If you are on PS4 still, I think they fixed that on PS5, but I know on PS4 you had to have room for both.
Yeah.
Xbox, I know you can set up to have auto updates on it. Hopefully mine will auto update. If not, I'm going to be going in and forcing it at like 1 p.m. that day.
I would double check it all just in case if you're on console.
Double check it all. I have given tips before about what to do on a launch day. I actually am a pretty strong proponent of do not take that day off of work, because the first day, especially with it being the final expansion of this story, there are going to be a bunch of people flooding back who have not played in a couple of years. Gathalion hasn't played in forever and was playing the other day, for example. Or was playing today, actually, I think. I think he played today. And people are going to be bum rushing this to get ready for the raid. The day 1 raid is dropping on the 7th. I would expect another sign-in queue to hit on the 7th. This is going to be a very busy week. I would advise everyone, do not get frustrated if you are locked out. But yeah, don't take the whole day off. You know, I advocate it's better if you're going to take a whole day off to play the expansion. Take the day off after, maybe wave work a little early on the 4th to come home and start hanging out, start playing. You're probably going to get bumped a few times, even though the queues during Witch Queen and Lightfall in particular were very good. They were very good compared to how it used to be. I would strongly recommend not taking a whole day off on the 4th. You are going to be sitting in queues and you probably will get bumped. The 5th is the better day to take off. That's my strategy.
Yeah.
Half day, at most a half day on the 4th, and then take the 5th off if you're not already taking off for the raid race. All right, Corey. Jesus Christ, we're already an hour in. All right, we're gonna do the armor tuning preview. I'm gonna try to go through this. This isn't too long. We're gonna just fly on through.
Fly on through, Josh.
All right.
Like a bird.
Subclass matching, Prismatic, and U. Our existing armor and mods were originally released in a world where each subclass was only ever a single element. Since that will no longer be true for the final shape, we've taken a pass through existing gear. For the most part, this meant updating exotic armor and armor mods meant to reference a player's equipped super element instead of a specific subclass. This allows their effects to function on Prismatic without changing behavior on the original subclass. For example, the Titan exotic Horforced Z will still require just a stasis super to be equipped rather than the full stasis subclass. We've also taken the opportunity to update the description of harmonic mods to better explain their behavior to fully support Strand on resistance mods. However, in a few places we want to make more meaningful changes. We detailed them below along with reasoning. All right, Hunters, Triton Vices will no longer require a glaive to match your subclass to trigger its extra detonations. Given the limited pool of glaive options, we wanted to open this up to support a wider variety of builds. We also wanted to let the glaive melee bonus linger for a bit after you stop being surrounded to add some ease of use and to bring it further into parity with Syntheseps. Glaive projectile final blows now always trigger a detonation that matches the glaive's damage type, even when the glaive does not match the equipped subclass. And the surrounded effect provided by Triton Vices while wielding a glaive now lingers on the player for 5 seconds after no longer being surrounded. Great. Love it. Easy change. Probably not gonna make this a big deal, but for like the 15 of us who like running glaives still, this is very welcome news.
I love glaives, but not the hunter.
Yeah, but you don't play a hunter, so back off. You have Syntheseps. Dragon Shadow has been updated to trigger its effects when you use Ensnaring Slam or the new Ascension Arc aspect, opening up more build crafting combinations. Foe Tracer now grants the bonus damage it inflicts on a target to weapons. The damage type also matches the ability used to damage that target instead of always matching your equipped subclass. With Prismatic, you can apply a variety of different damage elements with your abilities, and this change allows Foe Tracer to buff multiple different weapon damage types instead of just one that matches your subclass or super element. I love this. You can effectively have Foe Tracer triggering 3 or 4 different types of elemental damage at your own will, at your own leisure, you could say. I like that. That's a cool change. Foe Tracer was already a good exotic. It's even better now. We wanted to add additional benefit to the 6th Coyote along with Armamentarium for Titans, since otherwise the Spirit of Coyote perk on the new exotic class items would have granted the same benefits as the original exotic. We took inspiration from Claws of Ahamkara and added the ability for 6th Coyote to create orbs of power from final blows after using your class ability. So I like that. This is implemented as an exotic, granting a free copy of the Reaper Armor Mods effects. Cool. So, Hunter, you dodge, boom, boom, boom. Pop something with Sunshot or with your heavy or whatever, boom, you're creating orbs of power for your team. I love that. Especially if you can stack it to where you are dodging like every 10 to 15 seconds, which that's like a huge exaggeration, but if you're dodging regularly, you're just creating orbs. Love it. I love it. 6 Coyote is already a great exotic to run, especially in PvP. I like this change. We talked about renewal grasps last night at length, so I'm not going to bring them up here. You can go listen to part 1 of this episode. And the final Hunter change, Star Eater scales. They're getting a little bit of a nerf. We talked about part of this last night with the Golden Gun change, but now increase the number of orbs of power required to grant maximum benefits from 4 to 6. I kind of like that. Star Eater scales were getting a little out of control with the Golden Gunning specifically. I think had that not happened, they probably wouldn't have changed this. But when you got 5 Hunters Golden Gunning straight into a div bubble to kill Rolk in Pantheon, that's going to get you noticed.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Our beefier section here. Titans.
Yeah.
Titans are getting several changes here. Ursa Furiosa might actually be good now.
Are you sure?
Yep, I'm absolutely sure.
Slow down, Josh. Come on. Let's.
In addition to its previous effects, it now provides increased movement speed while guarding with Unbreakable. Also grants super energy for guarding with Unbreakable. The energy scales based on the amount of incoming damage the shield absorbs. This could actually be really, really cool. John and I were talking last night about maybe Banner Shield becoming the new play with Well and Bubble not being as, at least Well not being as viable of an option in high-end content. Maybe you still sacrifice the DPS in a different way to buff everyone else. So that's really cool. I like that. Eternal Warrior no longer requires an Arc subclass for Arc Final Blows to grant escalating weapon damage bonus. This allows it to synergize with prismatic builds. Its behavior related to Fist of Havoc is unchanged. Armamentarium, we already talked that it's going to get a change. It is getting a free copy of the Firepower Armor Mods effect. So it can create orbs of power from grenade final blows now, which is great because, of course, Armamentarium gives you the double grenade charge. Kefri's Horn, this is the one that I'm really excited about. I was talking with Dealer about this earlier. This is where we were talking about Banner Shield. Man, this is not directly related to Banner Shield, obviously, but Kefri's Horn, man. The Solar Blast is going to be increased in PvE by 100%. It now scorches each time it hits a target instead of scorching only once. It now benefits from Ember of Eruption and Ember of Ashes, plus 30 scorch in PvE and plus 15 in PvP. Everything burns. I love this. I love it so much. I'm a big fan. I'm actually gonna check something real quickly. I don't believe that this is okay. So this is no. I think so. You might be able to use this with Prismatic. I don't know a ton about how Kefri's Horn works. I'm very excited though because all I heard was things are gonna go boom boom. So I like that. Heart of Emote Slice buff in the HUD could easily crowd out other important information. We felt it be less verbose in its HUD feedback, so now displays a single consolidated status effect. Syntheseps is an exotic all about being in the thick of a group of enemies, and its effects are potent to offset the inherent danger of being surrounded. But we felt that was too easy to carry these powerful effects once triggered into far less dangerous 1v1 encounters. So reduce the amount of time that bionic enhancements linger after no longer being surrounded from 8 to 5 seconds, and it will now be visible as a timer on the buff. And the final one, Severance Enclosure. Be a particularly noisy exotic when it comes to effects blasting enemies around the battlefield. We wanted to alleviate some of the noise and awkwardness around the explosion to better bring them in line with our other area effects on exotics. Explosions will now require line of sight to damage enemies. We've also reduced the knockback intensity of these explosions will now launch enemies more consistently vertically. I have to think that Severance Enclosure is getting that change so that you can't just spam it in PvP. So, all right, Corey, we're getting there. We got warlocks, and then we got some big things at the end. Big changes.
Big changes.
Mantle of Battle Harmony for warlocks has been adjusted to grant more super energy for defeating powerful enemies. The cooldown on granting super energy has been removed. So now grant super energy ranging from plus 1.5% and plus 4.5%, depending on the type of target killed, and remove the 2-second cooldown for the perk's activation. I love it. Mantle of Battle Harmony, great. Outstanding. Wrath Weavers, we talked about Wrath Weavers last night also. We talked about those. Secant Filaments. Empowering Rift will now reset a player's existing Devour buff duration back to 11 seconds when they enter it, in addition to previous behavior. Verity's Brow now requires final blows with a weapon matching your grenade's damage type instead of the one matching your equipped subclass to help it better work with Prismatic. Sunbracers. Sunbracers are getting a bit of a nerf. Reduced the increased solar grenade duration from 4 seconds to 2 seconds, and reduced its increased grenade recharge rate to allow a maximum of 4 grenades while the effect is down from 5. Our friend Joe was talking about this, and he said he only ever throws 3 out at once. So he says he doesn't feel like he'll particularly notice change. I guess for those who just like to spam, they just like to spam it constantly. I did day one Crota with somebody who was doing that, and while helpful, it was also very hard to look at because it was very hard. But I do like that. And then Cenotaph Mask. Sorry to all my hunters or all my warlock friends who've been running trace rifles, but when multiple warlocks use Cenotaph on a single target, it resulted in far more heavy ammo than was healthy for the sandbox. It also pushed fire teams into using all the same build, which is more reductive than we would like. Multiple players using Cenotaph can no longer trigger its effect using a single enemy target. Cenotap's target lock visual marker is now hidden for the exotic's wearer and only appears to the wearer's allies. Four more sections here.
You can do it, Josh. I believe in you.
God, dude. Powered melee has been adjusted in terms of terminology. Basically, it was always intended to mean spending a melee charge, so throwing a smoke bomb or something like that. But subclass elements like combination blow would allow players to circumvent this cost. It makes it difficult to balance the potency of effects. We are starting by updating Severance Enclosure and Assassin's Cowl to only trigger their effects when a player spends a melee charge or uses a finisher to get a final blow. We plan on rolling this type of change out to more content that triggers powered melee in future updates. Here is maybe the biggest change of this whole thing, and it's just a little paragraph at the end that has me so excited. It should have all of us who like build crafting excited. Exotic Artifice Armor, Corey.
Oh boy.
Oh, I'm so excited. Even if you spent the time to get that triple 100 Artifice Armor set for your build, one piece was always a bit left out. Whether you're looking to make everything match or get that last +3 to your resilience, or just want to get your hands on Artifice gear for the first time, we figured it was about time for us to tie up loose ends. Exotic Armor can now be upgraded after it has been fully masterwork, granting an Artifice mod slot. This comes at the cost of an Exotic Cipher and 10,000 Glimmer. So Exotic Ciphers, man. Gotta have a way to get more of those. Right now, we're limited to 1 a week, I believe.
It's still. I thought they updated it to 5.
No, you can hold 5. You can only pick up 1 quest at a time.
Oh, okay.
We're hoping, fingers crossed, that the Zur rework that they talked about a long time ago will be revealed next week. If so, it should be a quest that lets you repeat. And there are some, I should note, there are some that come in the season pass every season too.
Yeah.
But obviously, for those of us with multiple characters, with multiple builds, that only goes so far. Ammo Finder update. All right. In the live game now, heavy and special ammo finder mods reset their progress towards an ammo brick whenever you die. This leads to players receiving less ammo and harder difficulty activities, especially if they are playing right on the edge of their skill level. In fact, if you're unlucky enough to die with the timing of your character dying, it was possible to never get any finder ammo bricks at all, which would explain why sometimes we're just like screaming about it. We want to make ammo finders more predictable for all players across every activity, so heavy and special mods will persist their progress towards an ammo brick through death. This means you will always get a finder brick if you defeat enough enemies, regardless of how many times you die along the way. Because of this change, we have disabled ammo finder mods in Crucible, and player kills will no longer grant ammo finder progress in Gambit. We also found this change dramatically increased the amount of ammo players would receive on average, so we've increased the kill requirements for both special and heavy ammo finders by 20% for Guardians and a fire team. Solo Guardians, however, have no one to resurrect them when they are defeated, so we've left their kill requirements unchanged. I love that they can modify all of this like down to the nitty gritty now as a result of the engine change that they underwent a while back.
Yeah.
During the year of Beyond Light, I believe.
Yeah, I like it.
Our final thing, raid armor mods. While the benefits of raid armor mods are strong, they currently don't feel impactful enough in practice, especially since they may not fit into your existing build. As a result, with the release of the final shape, we are making it much easier to layer these extra elements into your loadouts as you go for that perfect weapon roll. So all mod energy costs from raid specific armor mods have been removed. I love it. Again, unless you're doing master content, you probably don't even care about these, frankly. But still a nice change nonetheless. Big fan. I think basically everything from the last two pieces they put out have been slam dunks. I don't really have a whole lot to contribute beyond that, partially because my voice is going, but also just you at this point you know what build you're running, you know what exotics you like, you know if these are good or bad changes for your build. I want to hear what everybody else has to say. I want you guys, if you have any particular feedback on something that is not Well of Radiance and not Ward of Dawn, we are not having those conversations yet, or the nerf to Banner of War. We are not talking about any of those three things until a couple weeks into the final shape. But if you have thoughts on any of the other tunings, I would like to hear them. I welcome you to write those in, and we will address them over the coming weeks. No guarantee that we'll get to it in episode 200, but it's on the table.
On the table.
It's on the table. I specifically would love to hear what people think of the stasis changes once they're in game. Like, in fact, honestly, like I would rather us wait until they're in game to do feedback. But I think that's what we might do during June. Talk about how the community is reacting to us. God, those stasis changes are so good. I can't wait. Because we're gonna have to do an entire episode just breaking down Prismatic, and there's so much here.
There's a lot. There is a lot.
There is an awful lot.
I'm excited about this armor stuff.
Ugh. As am I. Less excited than I was about the abilities. I think the abilities blog was significantly better.
Yeah, but I think
where I'm a little confused why we split them up in the first place. But
yeah, but also like I think ability changes are inherently more exciting than armor changes in a lot of ways.
They are, and especially because a couple of the bigger ones were already in there.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. Oh.
All right. We are going to jump over to questions. We have a few questions. I put out a disclaimer earlier that some of these may get bumped to next week. We already said we're going to save Titan Class's question for next week. Magic Mike writes in and asks, what do you guys want to get from the first 3 episodes?
Oh, jeez.
Honestly, that's really hard to answer. I think right now, in 12 days, I'll probably have a better answer for you. I mean, honestly, in like 17 days, I might have a better answer once we've seen what the first episode looks like.
Yeah.
Because we don't really know what to expect. They've been really quiet about it, understandably, because they want to get the final shape out the door.
Yeah.
But we don't really know, outside of the little roadmap they gave us for each of them, we don't really know what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
I would expect Echoes to pick up right where the Season of the Wish storyline leaves off with the Vex.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe some Clovis Bray gets mixed in there.
Ooh.
Clovis Bray and Anna. This could be a great time to reintroduce her to the narrative. For the Scorn season, we kind of hypothesized earlier that Mithrax and Crow are probably going to be a part of that. And then there's Heresy, which is supposedly the Hive one, which is the last episode of this run, which presumably will lead into the next expansion. I would hope that's us dealing with Xivu or Wrath. But I don't, or Savathun if she doesn't die off in the campaign.
Yeah.
Maybe it's dealing with Savathun. I would prefer for that not to be relegated to seasonal content or to episodic content, but who knows? We also don't know if these are going to stick around or not. I really think this is a golden opportunity to say, hey, kind of fucked up with seasons. We want to leave this stuff in the game permanently.
Yeah, I wonder if I wonder if you're right. Like, I wonder if this is where like they make that change. Okay, from here on out, everything stays in the game. No disappearing, no vaulting, no nothing in terms of the content you can play.
I would like it. I would really like it. Ronnie, who is level 573 this season, asks, will I hit 600 by the final shape?
No.
I hope not. Please go outside for your own safety.
Please.
Please. And then our last questions of the night. We have two questions. Jiggly Panda posts an image, and it says, if these games fold, video games might be cooked for good. And it's GTA 6, NCAA college football, and Call of Duty Black Ops Gold 4. Said they want our thoughts on this. I'll be real. I don't really give a fuck if these games flop.
Yeah, I really don't care.
Because I don't think that that's indicative of anything. If those flop, then that might mean that live service is cooked. But I don't think that by any stretch of the imagination means that games are cooked. If you think that games are cooked right now, and I'm not saying that Panda thinks this, but if you think games are cooked at all right now, I implore you to play more than like 2 fucking video games a year. I implore you to play more than just Destiny and like Fortnite. Because we have so many creative games coming out every single week now. It is impossible to play every game that comes out that is good.
Oh man, let me tell you, man.
Not everything gets the media attention that something like a AAA blockbuster is going to. But I mean, there's so many creative games out there. I know Corey's been playing a lot of Hellblade.
Oh, it's amazing.
I'm hoping, because it's a fairly short game, I'm hoping to get through it this long weekend so that we can review it on Monday.
Yeah,
that's the goal.
I have to say though, if you didn't like the first game, this is not going to change your opinion.
No.
If you like
that's what it made me so fucking mad reading the Paul Tassi review of that game.
I didn't read it.
He opens up his first paragraph with, I didn't like the first Hellblade. Well, why are you reviewing this then?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I understand why people don't like it, but like, as somebody who really likes the first game in a lot of ways than the other than the fact that it's a video game, like, it's this game, it's something, man. I gotta tell you, it is a visual feast. Especially if you have like a really, really nice TV, it is I gotta tell you, Josh,
it is maybe the best looking game I've ever seen in my life.
It's pretty good looking, I gotta tell you.
It sets a new standard for visual and auditory storytelling. But I mean, even beyond Hellblade, like, you just look at the great games we've gotten in the first 5 months of this year. Off the top of my head, I can tell you guys should be playing Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. You should be playing Prince of Persia. You should be playing Persona 3 Reload, which I've talked at length about on Xbox Casuals. You should be playing Rise of the Ronin. You should be playing Helldivers 2. Helldivers 2 is the most successful game of the year. 12 million copies sold. Helldivers 2.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody thought it was going to do that at all. That, to me, that tells me the industry is so healthy.
Yeah.
Right there. Stellar Blade has gotten good reviews. I know that Nintendo really hasn't had a whole lot this year. Xbox has a lot coming out the rest of the year. Hades 2 just went into early access. There's a plethora of indies that just came out.
You're telling me Princess Peach Showtime, Josh, didn't do anything for you?
No.
Paper Mario today, though.
Paper Mario, the 1,000-Year Door It's not a remake, but remaster just came out. It's the best Paper Mario game. It's one of Nintendo's greatest games ever, in my opinion. Um,
I
it's
own
one of
the
the best
original.
Mario games.
I own the original, and I've never played it.
Uh, Thousand Year Door. I like Paper Mario on the N64. Thousand Year Door, though, is really the first RPG I remember falling in love with. I did not know it was an RPG at the time.
Yeah.
It's funny. I would play that and Morrowind in the same year, and both games would have drastically different impacts on my life. I found myself screaming, "Why doesn't Nintendo make more games like Thousand Year Door?" And I found myself going, "Oh, thank God, there's a whole platform that makes RPGs like Morrowind." Then I played Jade Empire, and I just got ruined forever.
Jade Empire.
Yeah, so like if you think, oh God, I can't believe I forgot this. The game of the year right now, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Like games aren't cooked. People just have bad taste, and games have gotten expensive. They don't want to spend money on them.
Yeah.
That's the harsh truth. But
I mean, I think free to play games have kind of ruined that aspect of games. Not
yep,
like,
yep,
I mean, like people have just been trained, and even Game Pass to an extent has trained people not to buy games, you know?
yeah. So I don't think it's necessarily like the buying of them. I think that budgets have become so bloated, and the idea of what a gaming experience should be has been so warped that we think of one of two things. Either it has to be this huge mega $300 million blockbuster produced by a first party studio, or it has to be a free to play game that just is predatory
Hmm.
on its players, such as Roblox, Fortnite, even things like Madden. I mean, I think I saw
God,
Matt
Madden and FIFA.
Piscatella tweet this out a couple weeks ago, and he says that almost all gaming in the US is done on average in Fortnite, Call of Duty, Roblox, Minecraft. There were like one or two other games on there. I think Madden might have been on Madden, or FIFA was on there,
Hmm.
but it's mostly free to play experiences or like Ultimate Team
Hmm.
style stuff.
Yeah. Wait till
And
NCAA comes out and they start doing Ultimate Team for NCAA.
oh, it's already on the pre-orders.
I know.
Yeah. I don't think that gaming is anywhere near cooked. I just think that people don't want to step outside their comfort zone for games when games cost $70,
Yeah.
which is understandable, but also really stupid.
Hmm.
Like, hey man, if you really care about, if you care about art, you're going to pay for it. That's why I continue to advocate. I think Game Pass is still a really good program, especially like if they ever take away the first party games, I'll probably stop defending it. But man, for right now, you can get any first party game that Xbox puts out, and just seriously every single year, most of the best indies that come to console go to it.
Hmm.
So I can't say enough good things. If you're a budget minded gamer, man, I still think like even if you're just doing like the $10 version, it's worth it.
Hmm.
It's worth it to me. Um, and Panda's second question, which is going to be a little bit of discussion here. Now that we are 2 weeks away from the final shape, I want to ask, what are some things from this last year you guys enjoyed and some things you did not enjoy? I debated if we were going to save this for the panel next week, but knowing my luck, some huge update will get dropped next week, so I don't want to save this and final shape predictions.
Hmm.
The season is essentially over. Everything for Into the Light is over at this point, with the exception of the final Archie quest. Um, Corey, let's each pick 3 things that we liked and 3 things we did not like about this year.
So this year, do you mean like
Since
2024
Lightfall,
or since Lightfall?
since Lightfall came out, this game year.
Yeah.
I know it's been longer than a year, but
Ugh,
for the exercise's purpose,
it feels like it's been 4 years since Lightfall.
it really
came out,
does. Over the last 15 months, what are 3 things that you have enjoyed and 3 things you have not enjoyed?
3 things I enjoyed. I have enjoyed some of the seasonal stuff. I really enjoyed Season of the Witch in particular. This season was okay, but Season of the Witch was really great. I think the what was the underwater dungeon? I forget what it's called.
Ghost of the Deep.
Ghost of the Deep is really cool from not just like mechanically, but also from a lore perspective, and seeing, you're literally walking around on Oryx's body, which is great. and then just kind of like I like a lot of the I really like the Into the Light stuff. I really like, the idea of Pantheon. I really do like uh God, what the hell is the mode called? The one that everybody's playing right now.
Onslaught.
Onslaught. Thank you. Jesus Christ. I really like Onslaught. I'm a huge horde mode person. Um and the one thing I really missed from Destiny 1 is Prison of Elders, and this really scratches that itch in a lot of ways. To the point where like I really like this better than Prison of Elders. Um, so those are three things I really like. I think
Um, yeah, I'll go with the things that I've liked.
fishing.
I, God, fishing is great. Um, I think that I really love the addition of Strand. I think the addition of Strand has been phenomenal to the game,
Mm-hmm.
to the balance. It felt like it was much more balanced than Stasis was coming into it, and it was the high point of an otherwise like kind of disappointing expansion.
Mm-hmm.
But I really, really enjoyed that. I loved both dungeons this year. I think both
Mm-hmm.
dungeons, in fact, I think the end game in general, I think really excelled this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Root of Nightmares is an easy raid. We needed a beginner raid though that you could take somebody through who's learning mechanics for the
Yeah.
first time. That is a beautiful raid to teach them mechanics in,
Yeah.
especially Explicator and the first encounter. I think first and third encounters are beautiful to teach new raiders raid mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
And it says something that now the two encounters from Ron are arguably the two most challenging encounters in the Pantheon on the last week.
Yeah.
Um, but like similarly, I really love how Ghost of the Deep was designed to feel like totally unique from anything that we'd ever had before. Like they've nailed 3 out of the last 4 dungeons have nailed this idea. With duality, we go into Callus's mind and we fight his projection of Keitel
Mm-hmm.
and of Galran. In I Spire of the Watcher, okay, I didn't really feel like we got a fantasy there.
We got the cowboy outfits.
I don't fucking care about that.
Yeehaw!
I think that's the dumbest thing that everybody went nuts over.
I love it.
It's fine, but it did not fit that dungeon at all.
No, I mean no, it did
Um,
not.
and then I think Ghost of the Deep really excels with the underwater fantasy, even if it's the most tedious dungeon to go through at this point. And then Warlord's Ruin is just chef's kiss. Chef's kiss. It's a Dungeons and Dragons dungeon. It's great. I love everything about Warlord's Ruin. I forgot how much I like because I only ran it a couple times when it first came out, and I ran it the other night with Dealer and Slayer and really enjoyed it. So, and then God, the changes they made to Crota's End, outstanding, out fucking standing. That is how you update a raid for the current sandbox.
I forgot Crota's End came out.
God, Crota's End is so good. Crota's End went from being a joke to being legitimately like one of my favorite raids ever.
That's so. Every time I hear everybody say that, it blows my mind.
It is the right difficulty for the current sandbox. With the current sandbox taken into mind, it is the right difficulty. The challenge, the encounters are the right challenge. I think it's still pretty close to a beginner raid, but man, it can get pretty hectic in there, even for a team of experienced raiders. I really like that one for a raid night. Have a beer or two with the friends, sit down and do a raid. Maybe cheese the boss a couple times for some extra spoils. It is one of those things. And then the last thing I like, everything that they did in Into the Light. This has been such a slam dunk.
Mm-hmm.
This has been an absolutely incredible experience over the last 2 months. I said, when it came out that this was the best season that they've done all year, and I am counting it as a 5th season.
Mm-hmm.
It has been out fucking standing. Onslaught is a great activity. The rewards are excellent. I feel like I get enough loot even before the double loot. I felt like I was getting enough loot. The parade armor is here. 12 unvaulted weapons. And then on top of that, you get the best chat. We got Whisper and 0 Hour back, which both feel great in the current sandbox. Mind you, like 0 Hour was actually a little bit of a challenge. I really enjoyed that the -10 buff was kept on there. Debuff, I guess I should say. And Pantheon, you guys have heard me rave about it for weeks now. You're going to get one more update next week. We're going to see if I become a God Slayer before episode 200. That is the current goal. The current goal is that I'm getting my clear on Saturday.
God Slayer.
I will never title hunt again if I get God Slayer. I want to be super clear. That is like the pinnacle of Destiny titles, in my opinion. I think it's a fitting way to close out the first 10 years of Destiny. Things I did not like. I think the seasonal storytelling was really bad this year. I don't want to harp on it too much because there were things that I really liked, such as I really liked Eris's arc in Season of the Witch. I like Sloane's story in Deep. I like the story of Riven and Tyrannus. I don't like how they were executed, though. The seasonal model has long been stale, and God, Defiance was kind of my breaking point, I think. Defiance was infinitely more offensive to me than Lightfall's campaign was, because I think you could have done a really cool dual narrative bouncing back and forth between those two things, but instead, no, it's just dog shit. Amanda died for nothing. Also, it's like we were supposed to care about Amanda, I think. So not I didn't like that. In that same vein, I think the seasonal weapons this year are awful. Man, I still completed the patterns because I know there's going to be something that I'm going to need out of those, but off the top of my head, there's like maybe 3 weapons that I'm like, yeah, these are good. Most of the good weapons came from, I mean, Ron had an excellent weapon lineup.
Yeah,
Yamuna had a couple good drops there. Crota's End, almost every weapon, if not every weapon, is worth getting and crafting because they're almost all best in class. Warlord's Ruin had some great drops. Ghost of the Deep had a pretty forgettable group, except the Cold Comfort rocket launcher kind of slaps. Just this year felt really underwhelming for loot kind of across the board until we got to Into the Light.
Yeah.
There's a couple weapons. Wish kind of picked it up a little bit, but couldn't do enough when you compare it to previous years, especially coming off the stellar Seraph season with the craftable Ikelos suite. Oh my god. Third thing that I am disappointed in. I don't want to harp on Lightfall anymore. I think we've done enough of that over the last year and a half. Done enough complaining about Eververse. See, the problem is like a lot of the things that I would criticize, we've spent extensive time criticizing on this show. And I would just probably direct you back to those episodes. The last thing I don't like. Here we go. The high score triumphs in Pantheon. Fuck the high scores in Pantheon. They are just unreasonable. I don't understand what the criteria is for half of these. But the fact that we keep getting off of Atrax by like literally 100 points is infuriating. Having your repeat encounters repeatedly is not satisfying. The first couple weeks it wasn't a huge problem. It's a pretty big problem when it's minus 20. It's pretty annoying. So that's where I'm at right now. I guess those would be the only things that I'd like really be like, yeah, I would want these fixed. But I think those first two are pretty significant. I was legitimately to the point where if they had just done another season pass, I probably wouldn't have bought it. I would have just bought the expansion and maybe gone a la carte. I cannot do Battlegrounds again as the seasonal event. I've noted it before, but from the time Witch Queen came out until the end of Defiance, we had 1, 2, 3 seasons with Battlegrounds in them. And that's basically just cheap words for we don't want to pay for strikes. And I would infinitely rather have more strikes at that point. I would rather have a seasonal activity and have a strike as the end of season mission or something.
Yeah.
So
kind of feels like it's been a while since we got like a slew of new strikes.
We haven't gotten a new strike since Lightfall.
That's what, yeah.
And we only got one, I think.
Yeah.
So Yeah, because my other complaints would have been about PvP, but these new maps are fantastic. So, um, all right, Corey, we are going to do we're going to do a quick lore corner.
Quick lore corner, a quickie, as they say.
We're going to do a very quick lore corner. I'm 99% certain we have done this one, but I'm going to read it anyways.
It's important. It's
Um,
fine. It's important.
it's important. It is the we're going to do the ship from this week that you get for completing the final mission. Um, I have to actually find it real quickly. I had it pulled up and then I accidentally X'd out of the tab, which is really annoying. And now I can't find it.
I'll sing everybody a song. Everybody watch Josh as he looks for the tab. The tab.
No, now I'm just mad because I don't know where it is.
What did you do, Josh? You broke it.
I don't know. I could have sworn that we read this already, and the fact that it's not in here is actually a little concerning.
Mm.
What the fuck?
Uh-oh.
Dude, it's got to be in here. Come on.
Josh is looking. Josh is looking. Man, let me tell you, Josh, Hellblade, though.
There it is. I scrolled past it. All right. Unforeseen consequences. It is the ship you get from the very end. Be careful what you wish for. He remembers his sister's throne differently, an amalgam of Elixni flotsam built from the spoils of war, its great weight suspended from the rafters. A throne Uldren set ablaze in the wake of losing her, his first step down a forsaken path. Crow lays a hand on the throne before him. It is empty and ponderous, silhouetted by distant nebulae and cosmic dust. It feels smooth. Too smooth. It was here that I first heard the news of your death, calls a familiar voice behind him. He turns to see his sister striding down the hall. Mara takes her place beside him and gazes into the far reaches of space. Did you mourn for me? Crow asks. I did, his sister replies. She's silent for a moment, and I regret what I did to you. The manipulation, the subtle coercion. None of it went the way I intended. Crow follows her gaze into the endless void. I know what that's like. Remorse and recriminations, Mara says absently. She turns her eyes towards him. If you could go back, alter the course of your history, what would you change? He can't help but laugh. Where to begin? Crow muses with a smirk. It fades soon enough. Cayde, he whispers. Mara raises an eyebrow. Oh? Before then, I could have taken a different road, but once I pulled that trigger, he shakes his head. Everything else I can set right, but not that. I just wish I could tell him I shouldn't have done it. I see, Mara murmurs. Her eyes shine in the moonlight. Crow sighs and rolls his shoulders back. I should get going. Vanguard's waiting on my report. We all have our obligations, I suppose. Don't I know it? Crow nods as he heads down the hall. He pauses at the portal to the dreaming city and glances back at Mara. Ringed by the distant nebulae, she shimmers like a mirage on desert sands. And then Crow is gone. See you soon, Mara's voice echoes across the empty chamber as the illusion fades. Oh, brother mine. So this is pretty clearly Riven projecting herself as Mara, and as we all know, you don't want to wish in the presence of an Ahamkara.
Mm-hmm.
I'm choosing to believe that when we've gotten this has been in, by the way, this has been in the API for the entire season, so I'm 99% certain we've read this. But given the events that Crow goes through and that Riven goes through, I actually think that we have different interpretation this time around than maybe the last time we addressed this. I'm choosing to believe that Riven, instead of basically an eye for an eye, like, oh, you wish this, but there's gonna be a catch to it,
Mm-hmm.
like for example, we wished to save the dreaming city, and in doing so, we threw it into its chaos forever.
Mm-hmm.
Crow wishes to be able to tell Cayde. I don't think it's any coincidence where he gets tossed out at when he goes through the portal. This I see as Riven learning from the example of Taranis, knowing that she doesn't have much power left, that she's going to in making that portal. It's also granting Crow's wish. I don't think it's anything that we actually did. I think it's actually Crow's wish that she granted, a benevolent final wish after she's been full of tricks and deceit her entire life, but a final gift to Crow and the Guardian, who have helped her regain what she lost, who have helped her remember Taranis. And it kind of concludes maybe the most beautiful love story in Destiny, which, is Riven and Taranis. But at the same time, it's a conversation that Crow needed to have with Mara at some point. Like, he needed to hear those words from her, that she's sorry for all the manipulation she did all those years to him. He has to have that conversation with Cayde, and you better believe that's going to happen on screen in the final shape. I saw people upset that it didn't happen right here, and we're like, no, that needs to happen, and that has to happen in an expansion so everyone can see that moment. That is a major character development.
Yeah, I think they've learned from past seasons and past, complaints that needs to happen in a season or in an expansion, not a season.
Yeah, it's different seeing it in the context of the game and with the Vanguard grappling that he's alive, right? We don't know the exact intent, but also that would kind of give hints as to why Ace is glowing the way that it is.
Yeah.
And so we don't know to what extent is Cayde going to be able to leave the Pale Heart with us in the end or not. We don't know. Is everybody alive inside of the Traveler who has died, or is it just Cayde because of the wish that was made to Riven? If so, that's kind of an ingenious way to bring the character back. Because so much of Crow's arc has been about him wanting to atone for what he's done in a past life. Ever since Savathun revealed the truth to him. So,
yeah.
But Corey, I think that's going to do it.
That's going to do it. Josh, next week, 200. 2 weeks.
The next 2 weeks.
Final shape.
Yep, 2 weeks is the final shape. Next week is 200. Don't forget to stop by the Discord. Share your favorite Destiny and Tower Casuals memories. We have prizes to give away. I'm going to give away at least one prize live on stream next week. We have a fashion contest going on. I don't remember off the top of my head when submissions for that are ending. I'm going to look right this second so that I can tell everybody. Oh my God, where is the contest channel? Fuck.
It should be right.
There it is. Fashion contest. You have until May 26th at 11:59 Pacific time, so that we can all vote in the server from 27th through the 29th, and that way I can read off the winner live on episode 200. Nerd and I will announce the winner. I am doing $15 worth of silver for the winner. 15 to 20 bucks worth of silver, somewhere in there, along with the server title Witnessed. Because, man, listen, Furiosa comes out today, and I'm in a Mad Max feeling mood. We're about to fight the Witness. I gotta witness everyone. I gotta witness the drip, man. So
drippy.
But we've got some great stuff going on, and then 200, man.
200, it's happening. So you can watch on YouTube and on Twitch. So Tower Casuals, go there. Speaking of Josh, let's get out of here. Let's go prepare for the 200.
Let's do it.
I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening to this episode of Tower Casuals. Remember, there is a part 1 of this episode that Josh did. So if you somehow made it this far, go back and listen. It's the one right before this, titled Part 1. 199 Part 1. This is 199 Part 2. Josh, speaking of 2, where can we find you?
Twitter, @Josh_Finn. 2 N's.
2 of them.
2 of them. Count them.
2 of them. You can find me at I am Corey in HD on the social stuff. Join the Discord, follow us, check out Xbox Casuals every other Tuesday. Well, thank you everybody for watching and or listening. And until next time, we love you. Goodbye.